What do you do when the one you gave everything to walks away like you were nothing, when her silence burns deeper than her words ever did? Do you break? Do you run after her? Do you try to prove you're still worth loving? Nope. You walk away without a word, no explanation, no final message, no "let's talk," because the man who says nothing, who just leaves, becomes a riddle she can't solve, and it drives her mad. This is where Dark Stoicism begins, not with revenge, not with anger, but with absolute control. Control over your emotions, over your reactions, over the desperate, needy voice in your head begging to be heard. That voice dies, and in its place rises a man who feels pain, but doesn't show it. A man who bleeds silently, then seals the wound himself. No witnesses, no weakness. You see, most men think silence is passive. It's not. It's a weapon, one that cuts deeper than shouting ever could. When you walk away in silence, you're not just leaving her behind. You're taking something with you, your energy, your presence, your mystery. And when she realizes that, it's too late, you're gone. She expected a scene. She expected you to chase, to beg, to drown in what she discarded. But when you didn't, when you simply vanished without a trace, no words, no breakdown, she started questioning everything, not because she missed your voice, but because she couldn't predict your silence. And that's power. This video is about him, the man who got played, lied to, disrespected, and didn't flinch. The man who didn't try to win her back, but rebuilt himself into something so calm, so composed, that his very absence became her punishment. No arguments, no revenge, just stillness. Dark Stoicism isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about not showing that you do. It's knowing that your reaction is currency and refusing to spend it on someone who treated you like you were disposable. It's about walking through hell and keeping your hands in your pockets, eyes forward, mouth shut. So if you're hurting right now, good. Let it burn. Let it teach you. Because the man who learns to endure heartbreak in silence becomes a ghost that haunts her forever. If you're tired of being the one who cares more, if you're ready to become untouchable, hit that like button. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. She lost me the moment I stayed silent. Number 1. Silence is power. She expected a reaction, a breakdown, a message filled with raw emotion and desperate questions. She expected you to need closure, to need her validation one last time. But what she didn't expect was nothing. No call, no message, no apology, no fight, just your silence. And that silence? It crushed her louder than any outburst ever could. Silence is power because it's rare. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to scream when they're hurt. But the man who chooses not to, he stands out. He becomes a mystery. He becomes a presence even in his absence. She expected noise, and you gave her stillness. She expected drama, and you gave her distance. And in that moment, without saying a single word, you showed her that you don't owe her anything. Not a text, not a tear, not an ounce of your energy. Dark Stoicism isn't about bottling your pain. It's about owning it privately and turning it into strength. It's about stepping back and choosing not to feed her ego with your reaction. Because let's be honest, some people don't want closure. They want control. They want to see if they still have access to you, if they can still pull your strings. But when you say nothing, they have nothing, and that void becomes unbearable. She starts to wonder if you ever cared, if you've already moved on, if you've replaced her. That uncertainty grows in her mind like a virus. Not because you told her anything, but because you told her nothing. And now, every possibility, every fear, every regret, she has to sit with it, alone. When you stay silent, you don't give her a chance to rewrite the story. She doesn't get to paint you as bitter or desperate. You gave her no reaction to twist, no emotional ammo to shoot back at you. You walked away clean, like a man who values his peace more than her attention. And maybe you do feel pain. Maybe you cried behind closed doors. Maybe your soul screamed the moment she left. But you mastered it. You absorbed it. You kept it to yourself. Because the world doesn't deserve to see your breakdown, and she definitely doesn't deserve to see your weakness. Not anymore. A man who can stay silent in the face of betrayal is a man she will never forget. He becomes a ghost, not one she forgets, but one she sees in every mirror, every mistake, every man who follows. Not because of what he said, but because of what he didn't. Number 2, pain is fuel. The heartbreak, it wasn't the end, it was the ignition. Pain is the rawest form of energy a man can feel, and if you know how to channel it, it'll sharpen you like a blade. Most break under it. They spiral. They lose themselves trying to numb it, drinking, chasing, begging, posting fake smiles to prove they're fine. But the Stoic man, he doesn't numb it. He uses it. Pain becomes discipline. You hit the gym with rage in your chest. You build muscle with every ounce of heartbreak in your bloodstream. You rise earlier, grind harder, focus sharper. Not to prove her wrong, but to prove to yourself that you are not finished, not broken, not dead. You don't run from the ache in your chest. You invite it. You sit with it in silence and let it burn every weakness out of you. The betrayal, the rejection, it becomes a forge. And every rep, every cold shower, every second you hold the line instead of breaking, you harden. That's Dark Stoicism. You don't smile through the pain. You become it. You let it fuel a version of you that is unrecognizable to the man she walked away from. Because while she was expecting your collapse, you were building your resurrection. Pain is the one currency every strong man has had to spend. And the question is never, will it hurt? It's, what will I do with the hurt? Weak men collapse. Stoic men rise. When she sees you months later transformed, calm, focused, distant, she won't be able to look you in the eye, because she'll realize the pain she caused didn't end you. It evolved you. Number 3, the power of walking away. Walking away isn't weakness, it's dominance, it's restraint. It's the quietest, coldest way to say, I no longer place you above my peace. Because walking away without explanation doesn't just end a relationship, it leaves an imprint, one she won't forget. The average man stays. He negotiates. He tries to fix what broke him. He hopes that maybe, just maybe, if he proves his worth again, she'll come back. But the Stoic man, he doesn't fight for a spot in someone's life when they made it clear they don't value his. He walks. Not because he didn't care, but because he cares more about who he's becoming than who he's losing. When you walk away and don't look back, you shift the entire power dynamic. You're no longer reacting to her choices. You're making your own. That's when she feels it. Not when you cry. Not when you post some cryptic caption, but when you disappear. Emotionless. Unapologetic. She's expecting you to stay stuck, to be just another man orbiting around her. But when you go ghost, when your silence becomes total, she starts spiraling, wondering if you've replaced her, if you ever really needed her, if maybe, just maybe, she underestimated you. Walking away doesn't make you heartless. It makes you untouchable. It shows you've outgrown her games, her inconsistency, her manipulation. It tells her loud and clear, you no longer have access to the man you once knew. The man who walks away is the man who was ready to stay, but refused to beg. Number 4. Emotional control is irresistible. Control your emotions, or be controlled by them. That's the rule, and most men break it. They rage, they cry, they vent online, hoping someone will see their pain and care. But the Stoic man, he locks it down. Not because he feels nothing, but because he refuses to let anyone see him lose himself over someone who already let him go. Emotional control is magnetic. When you don't react, when you don't flinch, when you keep your voice steady, even when your world is on fire, it draws people in. They wonder how you do it, how you can feel so deeply and still stay calm. That calmness, that unshakable center, that's the power she didn't expect. She thought she could shake you, push your buttons, get under your skin. That was the test. And when you passed it without even acknowledging it, she didn't feel victorious. She felt ignored. And no one wants to feel invisible to the person they once held power over. The truth is, men who can't control their emotions become predictable, easy to manipulate, easy to discard. But the man who can take betrayal, disappointment, heartbreak, and still walk with discipline and clarity, that man becomes rare, valuable, dangerous. It's not about acting cold. It's about staying solid. You don't need to pretend you don't feel. You just need to master how and when you show it. Because every time you react, you give away a piece of your power, and the man who reacts the least controls the game. Number 5. He who needs nothing wins. Neediness is the death of power. The moment you need her attention, her approval, her presence to feel whole, you've already lost, because the man who needs chases, the man who needs pleads, and the man who needs becomes forgettable, but the man who doesn't, he becomes unforgettable. She didn't walk away because you lacked love. She walked away because she felt your need, and need always smells like weakness. The man who rises from heartbreak isn't the one who convinces her to come back. It's the one who doesn't care if she does. He knows his value exists with or without her validation. When you strip away all the noise, all the lies, all the projections, what you're left with is this. A man either builds his identity from within, or he borrows it from others. Borrow it, and you're a slave to their moods, their choices, their absence. Build it yourself, and no one can take it from you. He who needs nothing doesn't posture. He doesn't prove. He simply is. Solid, centered, unmoved. And ironically, that's when they start coming back, because detachment is magnetic. When you stop reaching, they start wandering. When you stop chasing, they start missing. The Stoic man doesn't reject love. He just doesn't need it to function. His mission, his mindset, his discipline, that's what feeds him. If love comes, it's welcome. If it leaves, he doesn't collapse. That's what makes him so rare, so dangerous, so desired. Number 6. Disappear to rise. Sometimes the most powerful move isn't to speak louder, it's to vanish completely. No updates, no stories, no reaction. You go dark, not to hide, but to build. Because what they can't see, they can't predict. And what they can't predict, they start to fear. Disappearing doesn't mean giving up. It means you've stopped performing. You're done proving yourself to someone who already made their choice. You're not gone because you're weak. You're gone because your energy is sacred now. And you've decided it won't be spent trying to fix someone who broke you. You don't announce your glow-up. You don't broadcast your transformation. You go silent. You get to work. You let the results speak months later when she sees you again and realizes the man she left isn't the one standing in front of her anymore. He's colder, wiser, sharper, and unreachable. While she's watching your last message, wondering why you never followed up, you're rebuilding in silence. You're waking up early. You're stacking wins. You're surrounding yourself with peace, purpose, and power. And the next time she thinks of you, she'll wonder why she's still stuck and why you're clearly not. Because disappearing isn't the end of the story. It's the intermission, the moment between who you were and who you're becoming. But when you come back, you're not looking for closure. You're not asking for another chance. You've already outgrown her. Number 7, rejection is redirection. She said you weren't enough, or maybe she didn't say it, but she showed it, with distance, with silence, with someone else. And in that moment, it felt like the door slammed shut on your worth. But here's the truth. Rejection isn't the end. It's the redirection that saves you from wasting your greatness on someone who couldn't see it. When she left, it wasn't personal. It was necessary, because the version of you that needed her had to die, painfully, brutally. But in its place, a stronger version was born, one who no longer looks for external validation, one who no longer chases temporary comfort, one who finally sees that what left you made room for something better. She thought she was breaking you, but she was building you. Every ignored text, every unanswered question, every cold goodbye, it was a message. Not that you weren't enough, but that you were aiming too low, that you were giving your heart to someone who couldn't carry the weight of it. The Stoic man doesn't curse rejection. He thanks it, because it revealed what comfort kept hidden, that you were being called to rise, that the mission you've been avoiding, the power you've been sleeping on, the version of you you've been suppressing, was never going to be awakened in her arms. She walked away, and in doing so, handed you the key to your own transformation. What you do with that key, that's where everything changes, because a man who turns rejection into fuel never ends up where she left him. Number 8. Become the mystery. Familiarity breeds contempt. Oversharing kills intrigue. The more she knew every thought, every feeling, every weakness, you gave her the blueprint to destroy you. But the Stoic man learns, he evolves, and when he returns, he's a mystery. Not because he's fake, but because he finally understands. Power lies in what you don't reveal. She used to know your routines, your triggers, your fears. She had access, and she abused it. Now, access denied. You don't vent online. You don't chase closure. You don't tell mutual friends how you're coping. You leave question marks in places where answers used to be, and that silence, that unknown, it gets to her. Mystery creates gravity. People are drawn to what they can't read. And when she can't predict your next move, when she doesn't know if you're thriving, hurting, or simply indifferent, it shakes her. Because she used to know everything. Now she knows nothing. And nothing is louder than the silence of a man who used to be transparent, and now is untouchable. This isn't about playing games. This is about reclaiming your privacy, your dignity, your emotional boundaries. You owe her no updates. You owe the world no explanation. Let your discipline do the talking. Let your lifestyle whisper what your words never will. The man who becomes a mystery stops living to be understood. He starts living to become undeniable. He doesn't explain himself. He evolves, quietly, sharply, without apology. Number 9. You are the prize. She had you thinking she was the prize. That if you just loved her harder, proved yourself more, bent a little further, maybe you'd earn her loyalty. But here's the truth. You were the prize the whole time. She just couldn't see it. Or maybe she did, and didn't think you could. That changes now. A man becomes the prize the moment he stops seeking approval and starts demanding respect, silently. Not through arrogance, not through flexing, but through undeniable presence. You don't chase. You don't explain. You build. You improve. You walk into every room like you don't need a single thing from it. And that confidence, it can't be faked. It comes from the grind, from rebuilding when no one was clapping, from bleeding in silence and coming out sharper. She thought you'd collapse without her, but you became colder, cleaner, focused. You're not competing with anyone. You are the standard now because you realized something most men never do. Your time, your attention, your presence, those are privileges, not giveaways. And when she sees you again, leveled up, calm, unbothered, she won't just miss you. She'll feel the weight of what she lost, because now she's no longer sure she could even deserve you again. The Stoic man doesn't beg to be chosen. He becomes so solid, so disciplined, so self-defined, that being with him becomes a reward, not a right. Number 10. The man who never breaks. There comes a point where the pain doesn't touch you the same, not because you've gone numb, but because you've gone through it. You've felt the worst. You've stood in the wreckage, and you didn't fold. You didn't chase. You didn't fall apart publicly just to prove you still mattered. You stood tall and silent. That's the man she remembers. Not the one who begged, but the one who didn't. The man who never raised his voice, never lost control, never made a scene, because he had nothing to prove and too much to protect. His energy, his mind, his mission. You see, a lot of men can fake strength when everything's going right. But a Stoic man shows what he's made of when everything falls apart. And if he can stand unshaken while the world leaves him behind, that's not just strength, that's dominance. She thought you'd break, that you'd come back around, that you'd show your wounds eventually, but you didn't. You let the silence speak. You let your absence burn holes in her memory. You let her feel what it's like to lose a man who never needed to raise his voice to be felt. This isn't about revenge, it's about revelation, about becoming the kind of man who walks through fire and doesn't scream, who loses everything but not himself, the man who doesn't bend, doesn't fold, doesn't chase, the man who never breaks. If this message hits something real inside you, you already know what to do. Like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications. Because this channel isn't just about Stoicism, it's about building something unshakable, a mindset, a presence, a life. And if you're done living at the mercy of others, if you're done explaining, begging, breaking, drop this in the comments. She lost a man she'll never meet again.